Daredevil Born Again episode 4. So this is kind of the one I was looking forward to in terms of who was going to finally show up in the show, but it was kind of really average-ish, just like kind of like last week was kind of just, the courtroom stuff, which I actually think was more interesting than this episode because we didn't really do any of the courtroom actual trial stuff like we did with Hector last week before, White Tiger was killed. But this week, it was just kind of like random stuff, like the aftermath of that. And then there's this one really, really good scene with Frank Castle, the Punisher, and Matt Murdock, which is it's a great scene, best part of the episode. But before that, though, we got lots of this, figuring out what happened to White Tiger and just the aftermath of that, and the continuing story of Wilson Fisk, of course, and his role as mayor right now. So I thought it was okay, but let's get into it. So last week, obviously, we ended with the episode with the White Tiger, Hector Ayala or something like that, getting killed by someone wearing the Punisher logo on his chest. And that's kind of the big mystery left at the end of the episode. Now, we don't obviously assume that that's going to actually be the Punisher, but it's someone wearing his symbol, and now we're left to wonder who did this and why did it happen. What does Frank think about it? That's kind of what we want to know. So we started out, obviously, Matt is starting to find out that Hector has been killed. They got all of his items from the crime scene. He's trying to ask, anything about the murder scene and the weapon and the bullet. And was there a bullet left inside the body or not? So he discovers that there's no casing even at the scene or anything. And Matt kind of has to go off on his own now to try and figure out what happened and who did this exactly, because there's not really much evidence like with the body or even really at the scene, at least when you take a glance at it. So Matt's kind of on this mission slightly in this episode, outside of his other side mission this episode, to figure out kind of what happened to Hector a little bit and kind of, put some pieces together. So we got some shots of this new, trust me, I'm listening to internet discussions. I am not familiar with the comics at all, but I've heard that this is a character named Muse. No idea what he does. I don't know who he is or what he does. He looks kind of freaky, though. And this is a character that we're getting little glimpses of right now in this show. And, he doesn't do much in this episode at all. But clearly it's some sort of threat, some sort of freaky guy looming down below or something that's going to show up later in the show. He could be quite interesting to see. But we're getting little glimpses of him. He's like bringing people to their doom and taking out their blood or whatnot. It's freaky stuff. Last week I mentioned that there's also something in this show right now that's actually kind of getting annoying really quickly. Now, the first week, the first premiere was like, oh cool, we got this niece of Ben Urich from season 1 of Daredevil, which is cool. I like that little connection, I am very tired of the BB Urich character now, this reporter lady. It's just annoying, these little cuts to her little filming reporting blog thing, and now we get this full opening scene of her at some bar or whatever partying and stuff. It's I could do without it. I don't really care. I'm not mad about it or anything. It's just I'd rather see something different. I would rather sit and watch Wilson and Vanessa hash out their marriage problems, which I am also kind of annoyed with, rather than watch this. I don't know these characters. I don't really care to watch them. But it's kind of my least favorite bit of it right now, that they're kind of intertwining with Wilson Fisk's story. But we got a little glimpse of that. And speaking of Wilson and Vanessa, we got their story again. And the whole marriage counseling thing is obviously with, Matt's new girlfriend and whatnot. She can't tell him that. She hasn't told him that at all. Don't know if it's a client privilege, whatever thing going on, but we do get that at the end of the episode where it doesn't seem like she's told Matt that she's literally counseling Wilson Fisk. But she's counseling them, and they're having the same issues. They're talking about trust and forgiveness and whatnot because, Vanessa had this affair or whatnot with this Adam guy. And it seems like they both know that something happened to Adam, and Wilson did something to Adam, but we don't really know exactly what happened. Last episode, Wilson had his fist all bloodied, so we're assuming something happened with Wilson Fisk. We get a glimpse of what's kind of going on there at the end of the episode, but the marriage counseling stuff gets a little old. I would like to see this power couple come back together and start to do shit again, kind of like they were in season 3, and season 1 too, of course. But season 3 specifically, they seemed like they were coming together, and now it's they're split up. It's kind of weird. It's we're trying to bring them back together after not even seeing the random split. It's like suddenly we're jumping back into the Daredevil story, and these two characters are just like on their own term, like their own different ways now. It's weird. So this is the part of the episode that was probably the most boring. And I know we had the Vanessa and Wilson stuff, but this was actually more annoying and boring. Matt has to serve a new client, and his new client is some dummy who stole some caramel corn from some shop or something, I'm assuming. Now, this guy has had like several arrests, and he's been, arrested over and over again, and he is super pissy that he is going to get like 30 days or whatever, and he can't get probation for stealing this caramel corn. And he's super pissy about it because, I was just some caramel corn, and you're gonna throw me away for like this long, and you're not gonna let me get this probation that I want so desperately bad. But he's had like several criminal occurrences already, so it's not really that much of a surprise. But we get to have several minutes of this episode wasted with this random dude whining and bitching about how he's treated unfairly because he's stealing shit. So I don't feel too much sympathy for this guy. I don't know if the show is trying to convey that we should, but I don't fucking care. I do not care at all about this random dude. He's just stealing shit, and he's trying to tell us that we're supposed to feel bad about some sort of crazy system that's against him or something. I don't care. I don't fucking care. I just want to get back to Daredevil, the White Tiger thing that Matt's trying to figure out, Frank Castle, who we're about to see. That's the stuff I really care about right now, and this just felt so random to me. Maybe there's a part to play in this later in the show, but really, really random, and it was just kind of pointless to me. It felt really pointless, but who knows? I don't know if they're trying to tell us some sort of message that we don't really need or care to see, but who knows these days with these shows? I don't know. Now, something I actually did find funny, which might seem annoying for some people. I actually kind of find it interesting that we're seeing Wilson go around and trying to be mayor, but he literally cannot be mayor. This guy cannot be mayor. He doesn't want to operate like the mayor. And you got the lady there obviously trying to counsel him and trying to follow the law and do everything like the legal way and the good way to present his image as mayor. But he literally just doesn't want to do it because he comes up with this big plan to have this big port or dock or whatever area to be renovated. And he's like, just do it. He's like, go out and do this. He says this to his few guys here. He says, go out and do it, make things happen. And she's like, well, you can't just do things. You gotta go through all these processes and stuff, and that's not normally the way he operates. He just likes to do shit. So seeing him like kind of get frustrated in the new role that he's put himself in, I think is actually kind of funny at points. I think it's supposed to be that way, and it's interesting to see. I don't think it's going to last too much longer, but it is interesting to see him in this different role. But I don't think this whole pretend nice guy Wilson Fisk, good public image for Wilson Fisk is going to last that long. I really don't. It's already going to start to come undone, especially near the end of the episode, but it is kind of funny sometimes to see it happening. We also got to see him give some forgiveness once again to one of his employees, the one kid that's caused him some troubles. So we got a little bit of scene with that, kind of like a parallel with him and Vanessa. Then we got Matt exploring the crime scene for White Tiger, who was killed at this spot, and he discovers that he finds the shell casing that rolled off on the street somewhere. He finds the shell casing, and he discovers that it has the Punisher's logo on the actual casing itself. So I'm assuming he knows where Frank is, because he just walks off and he goes to where Frank is. He's literally like in some underground room somewhere in some building. Honestly, I don't know. I'm just assuming he knew where he was, but Frank is now in this building, in this room, and Matt goes to him and he wants to talk to him about the shell casing with his logo on it. Now, I'm not thinking Matt knows that it's like, thinks it's him, but he kind of wants to know what's going on. Maybe Frank knows something or could help him with something regarding this situation with his logo kind of showing up now with, these dirty cops and all these people using his logo. It begins like that. The conversation begins talking about the shell casing, but it doesn't really evolve that far in the terms of that discussion. Frank throws some lines out there like, some copycats, some fans or whatnot, some fanboys, but really it doesn't go that much further. It ends up evolving into a discussion once again, kind of like how him and Matt kind of talked to each other on the rooftop in season 2, where they're talking about their differences and how they do things, and it ends up talking about Foggy a lot too. So it ends up evolving into this big, interesting discussion about how they do things. Frank obviously he just wants to put people down. He wants to take them out. He wants to deal with them once and for all. He just wants to kill people, and that's it. The bad people get to die, and it's dealt with. Matt, on the other hand, still seems, or at least wants to go by this idea that the law and the system will work most of the time. And the discussion evolves from that into Foggy, because Frank can see it on Matt's face that he's hurting, and he knows about Foggy's death. Frank sees it on Matt's face that he wants to hurt someone. He really has this pain inside of him, and it's almost like he's trying to reach to Matt to come on. We all know what you want to do. Are you going to finally do these types of things that you want to do? Are you going to become like me almost in some type of way? But obviously that is a struggle that Matt has always had, is he doesn't want to kill. And he almost kind of did there with Bullseye there at the first episode. He threw him right off the roof, but he lived. So he didn't kill him. But he definitely crossed that. He definitely crossed the line, though, just doing that, because it could have killed him. I'm assuming that's kind of the whole idea here, is he now doesn't want to be Daredevil now because of that. That whole situation there with Foggy and Bullseye and stuff. But very emotional scene with Matt. He breaks down a little bit over Foggy. Frank continues to pressure him and get in his face, so he hits him a little bit. They have a little bit of a tussle. Overall, it's a really, really good scene, and we're going to see more of Frank, I'm assuming, because we're getting into the Punisher logo stuff everywhere. So I'm assuming we'll see more of him. But it was just one few minute scene in this episode, which does suck, because it feels kind of random to have this really awesome scene, and then you have everything else. It just feels like we're sitting and waiting for everything else to happen. This whole episode feels like we're just waiting for the actual stuff to start happening, and we're just kind of in this limbo period of just waiting, because not much happened really. This was just like an aftermath of the White Tiger dying and Matt trying to figure it out, and a little bit more of Kingpin stuff. That's it. But Matt leaves Frank. Frank is left to just kind of sit and wonder. Obviously he gave his speech about how he does things. Matt doesn't want to, all that stuff. And it was really interesting, really, really awesome stuff, really. And John Bernthal is fucking incredible. And I always bring this up because I knew him initially at Walking Dead. Season 1 and Season 2, before he was killed early in the show. He is great in Walking Dead. And seeing him, I watched The Punisher just recently. I watched all of this stuff before this show came out. Seeing him in The Punisher and in Season 2 of Daredevil, he is incredible. He is absolutely incredible of an actor. He is great. And I would have loved to see more of him on The Walking Dead. Now, I don't know if this opportunity would have come along for him to be Punisher, if he was still on Walking Dead, when he first became Punisher, in Daredevil. But I'm just saying, it would have been amazing to see him in Walking Dead way more than he was. But they killed him early on in that show, and it just, oh my God, it sucks. But we got him in this. We got him as Punisher. And I really like it. I do. So the end of the episode kind of reveals that, we're drifting towards these older characters becoming who they really are. Wilson Fisk ends the episode by going down in this, dungeon and eating, a meal, while it reveals that he's got this Adam guy who Vanessa cheated on him with. He's literally got him locked up in a dungeon and probably, punishing him and torturing him and stuff while he's eating his food. So obviously Wilson Fisk is kind of just becoming who he is again. He's going to become the Kingpin again. And it's only a matter of time till that all just happens and this whole mayor thing just kind of probably falls apart in some sort of way for him. And then Matt Murdock, he's trying to, have a normal night with his new girlfriend. He walks out of the room. It starts to go on the rooftop, and he starts to swing his, Daredevil sticks around again. He digs out some of his Daredevil stuff and starts to kind of, practice and train a little bit as if he may become Daredevil once again. So we're all just kind of slowly inching our way to getting back to Daredevil, seeing him in the suit again, running around as Daredevil, which I'm sure we'll see hopefully soon at some point here. And then, maybe some more Punisher. Wilson Fisk will become the full Kingpin again. Hopefully this Vanessa and Wilson thing ends soon and they just kind of, get together again and everything is dealt with, because I want to see them go head to head. We got this other villain that's kind of lurking now, that's killing people. in this show as well, like this Muse guy. So we got him. We got things brewing right now. Things are brewing, but nothing's really happening that much yet. Not much is really happening. It's all getting slowly set up, and hopefully it pays off. I mean, I don't know. The Marvel shows have been hit and miss. So far, I'm okay with this one. It's been fine. Outside of that first episode, though, it has kind of been a little slower than I thought it would be. But so far, it's not that bad. It's really not. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And I can't say that for a lot of the Marvel shows. So at least they're doing something there. And hopefully it gets better. Because I really want to see more Punisher. I really do. I need to see more Punisher. That is like my top thing probably for this season. And also, where the hell is Karen Page? Why is she not in this show? I know I heard that this show did like a whole redo, and maybe she wasn't part of the original run or something, and now she's not in this season. They said she's going to be in season 2, but him running around, Matt running around with these new characters is weird. I got no problem with these new characters. He's got his new girlfriend and whatnot. He's got his new law partner, but Karen Page not being in the story though is so damn strange, because you have season 3 where she is she's a major part through the whole series, of course, but you got her whole backstory episode in season 3, and she is such a significant character to Matt Murdock, and her not being there is really weird. Now Foggy, that's a whole nother thing, because some people think he might not even be dead. Don't know about all that stuff yet, but right now in the story he's dead. But but Karen should be in the story, and it does suck that she's not. I don't know if she'll be in the rest of the season or not, but I hope she shows up again. That'd be cool. But okay episode, pretty good episode, really good scene with Frank and Matt, and I think we're all leading to something that'll be pretty damn interesting going later into the season.